Hello everyone, it's Brian. Happy Monday. I hope you had a good weekend. On my weekend, I met up with two members of the vinyl community, and unlike Rob, you should go check out his video, Rob at Northern Revolutions. I had a short bike ride to my destination, whereas Rob had to drive for an hour, and Chris from Stylist Meets Vinyl had to come from even farther afield. So for me, it was about a 20-minute bike ride on a pleasant fall day. So this was an event planned by Chris at Stylist Meets Vinyl. He sent invitations, and Rob sent invitations to people in the Southern Ontario area. And I'm not sure exactly how many people were invited, but in the end, 3 people were able to come. So hopefully if we do this in the future, we'll get a few more people and make it a little bit of a bigger event. But the idea is we wanted to go to a few record stores, meet each other, and so this actually fulfilled one of the things in Rod's contest. Rod, Happy Hippie, the vinyl guy. 10 things we want from music in 2023. Except this one came early for me. I was saying one of the things I said is I'd like to meet more people in the vinyl community, and I just did it early. So that's kind of cool. So it was great to meet these guys. We had a few chats, bought some records, and hung out. It was actually a really fun day, and hopefully more will come next time. So we went to 3 locations. First, we went to Cops Records. That's Cops on Queen Street. They have, I think, 3 locations. They used to have another one on Bloor Street, but that shut down, I think, before the pandemic. So we went to one on Queen Street, and it's actually shifted locations. It used to be a little bit farther east, but it's moved. And in Rob's video, he mentioned the fact that he didn't find anything he wanted and was a little underwhelmed by the inventory. And I've had the same experience in that shop. Sometimes it's amazing, and sometimes I struggle to find anything. And I should mention that this store is, I think, currently the record store in Toronto that's been around the longest. It opened in 1976. And my memory is that, maybe not my memory, what I've read is that in parts of the 90s, I think, they had to start selling other merchandise because record sales were in a slump. But now it's all exclusively records, and it's an interesting shop. They have a basement, which we didn't go to, I realize. And again, sometimes it just depends on what comes in used.
Is there any more like new? No, that's used to.
I will say that they often have the lowest markup. So if I'm looking for a new record, I always make sure I check there because it may be up to $5 or even more dollars cheaper there than some other locations. So that's pretty cool. So I got 2 things there, partly because I didn't want to overspend before I went to another shop. So I wanted to, not spend all my money in the first shop. But I filled in 2 holes in my collection. The first is from Bob Dylan, the first Bob Dylan record. Now, I have had this on CD for a very, very long time, and I know the record very well. But for some reason, I've never had a copy on vinyl, and I'm not sure why that is. So this is, I'm not sure what year this is. It's a Canadian pressing. In Discogs, it says the date is unknown, probably because it's from the 80s. I'm just going to guess it's from the 80s. I'm not sure. So not my favorite Bob Dylan record, but I wanted to have that one. And it's in really great shape. The second thing is another record that I didn't have. I have most of the other releases from this band, definitely through the 70s and 80s, but for some reason I've never had this. This is AC/DC's Fly in the Wall from 1985. And this again is a Canadian pressing in pretty minty condition. Has a punch hole here for the, I guess it was a remainder. And for some reason, I don't even know if I've actually heard this entire record before. For some reason, I just never had it. And I saw it sitting there, and it was actually a really good price. Usually when I see vintage AC/DC records in Toronto in record stores, they're ridiculously priced. Like I saw Power Age a couple weeks ago, and it was $35 for a mediocre copy. So that was a little alarming. So I bought 2 things there. And then we took a little walk up the street to a store called Sonic Boom, which is a shop I've been shopping at for a very long time. They used to have a location on Bloor near Bathurst Street, and then they moved into Honest Ed's, where they had, I'm going to get confused with the timelines here, but they had a shop in the Honest Ed's building, which has been demolished now. For a while they had one shop that was CDs, And then they had a storefront in Kensington Market, which had all the vinyl. So you had to go to two shops. And then they unified it into one location on Spadina, just in the south end of Chinatown. So about a 5-minute walk from where we were. And it is a fantastic store. Rob spoke highly of it too, in his video. If you're coming to Toronto to shop for records, for me, must visits are Sonic Boom and a store called Rotate This, which is farther west on Ossington. Again, that's a fantastic store too. But Sonic Boom is interesting because it still sells CDs as well as DVDs. So if you're looking for CDs, you can find them there. When you walk in, you are presented with the area that has the new releases on display, recently acquired used material, and then they have a bunch of other things they sell, like even things like notebooks and music books and trinkets and things and that kind of stuff. You go down to the lower level, and that's where they have all their inventory, the main inventory, and it's a pretty impressive store. It's very, very large. And they have a really, like, you look through the bins and you'll see multiple copies of new releases. So it's a place to spend a lot of time looking, and we did spend some time there. And I bought two things. First of all, something that I've never had on vinyl before, and that is Nick Cave's and the Bad Seeds Skeleton Tree. For some reason, I've never owned this on vinyl, and this is a pretty minty copy. Now it's covered in my fingerprints. So I just picked this up because, I mean, the price was really great, and as I say, I never had it on vinyl, so that's excellent. Then the second thing I bought was the last release from a band called The War on Drugs. This is from 2021. I have everything else they've released, and for some reason just never got this when it came out. It has an interesting flap here. It has two pieces of vinyl in here, and there's also a booklet, which I will show you. I Don't Live Here Anymore, on the War on Drugs. So, lyrics and photos. I have listened to this just on Sunday, and it's a good record. I really like this band. So it was kind of like not the cheapest thing, but I wanted to have that. And then we walked up Spadina past and didn't go into a store called Plady Record, which is a famous, legendary Toronto record store, which I guess you could argue really focuses on the DJ market. At least that was the case in the past. So they sell turntables. They have a lot of in the past, a lot of 12-inch singles, a lot of disco, a lot of world, a lot of reggae, that kind of stuff. But they do have rock and pop as well. But we didn't go in there, and I have been in there twice recently, and will say that the store is kind of now an ergonomic disaster, because the last time I went in there were boxes sitting on top of the bins. You couldn't even flip through them because they were just stacked with boxes. And this one person said, "Oh, I'll move that box for you." But then there were boxes in front of the bin, so I couldn't even stand close enough to look at them. So a disaster. That store, I think they need a good clean out. I don't know if they're just focusing on mail order, but I do go in there, but I just find it really kind of frustrating because it's really disorganized and kind of awful. But we walked about 15 to 20 minutes from Sonic Boom past Plady Record to a shop called She Said Boom. So two stores with the word boom in it. And it's a used bookstore / record store. So around the perimeter of the store, and I realized I should have taken a photo, is bookcases around the whole store. And then in the middle, there's bins for records, and they have some bins for CDs. In the past, maybe 15 years ago, they only sold CDs, but they shifted, as every store did in Toronto, to records when the vinyl resurgence happened. So not a very big selection of records, but surprisingly often things I want. I think Rob had the same experience there. So you would think, oh, there's not going to be anything I want here, but sometimes you dig through and you find stuff that you want. So I only bought one thing, and the one thing I bought was this Richard and Linda Thompson record called Sunny Vista. Again, a record I've never heard. Of course, I'm familiar with their other records, like Shoot Out the Lights, that kind of thing, which maybe is a bit on the depressing side, perhaps. This one, from the title, sounds like it's going to be more upbeat, and it is. I listened to this, and I had this weird feeling when I first put it on. The first track really reminded me of the New Pornographers for some reason, so that was interesting. But I'm not sure. It didn't grab me initially. The reviews are good. It was a very poppy record, but I will listen to it again and see what I think about it. So I'm a fan of Richard Thompson, so I'm sure I'll enjoy it when I listen to it again. Glenn Tilbrook from Squeeze is on here, for example. There's someone else here that I noticed. Jerry Rafferty appears on one of the tracks. They both did backing vocals, I think. So anyway, then we parted ways, took a photograph of us together, and went on our way. But hopefully we can do this again with a bigger crew and see how that goes. But so if you're in Southern Ontario and you want to join in, that'll be fantastic. So thanks for watching, and make sure to check out Rob's video. I'll put a link below, and I'm sure Chris will have a video at some point, which I hope you can find. And great, thanks. See you later.